Hi friends, Christy here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. Today it's time for another book haul. This book haul is actually not quite as big as many of my book hauls are, but I do have some books that I've hauled over the last few weeks that I want to share with you today. But before we get into the new books, I first want to talk about today's sponsor, the ever wonderful creator of the Blue Box Book of the Month. I love Book of the Month so much. If you are not familiar, Book of the Month is a subscription service in which a team of curators vet hundreds of books to bring you the most exciting and current, relevant, fun, new, and emerging authors, books to push you out of your comfort zone, and books from your favorites across many different genres. Each month there are 5 to 7 choices, and you get to pick which book you're getting. So I love that feature. It's not a surprise. I get to choose which book I'm going to get each month. And when I look at the choices, if none of them jump out to me, I can absolutely skip a month and I won't be charged for that month. I think it's a fantastic service. I love the way that Book of the Month has helped me to branch out of my comfort zone, including in the 2 books that I picked for March. The first is by an author that I just recently read, Sally Hepworth. This is her newest book, The Soulmate. And this is kind of a domestic suspense, I guess you would say. There's this couple who live in this cottage right near a cliff where a lot of people go to try to end their lives, but the husband has a wonderful way of being able to speak to them and talk them off the cliff, quite literally, until one time he doesn't. So why wasn't he able to save that person? Was there something a little more sinister going on? Is there issues in their marriage? I don't know, but I was really captivated by the last Sally Hepworth book that I read, The Good Sister, and I'm just excited to read another one by her. And the other one that's a little bit out of my comfort zone, but also in my comfort zone, is Wayward by Amelia Hart. This one is going to be a historical fiction which covers 5 different centuries and 3 women's lives. We have a 1619 timeline, a 2019 timeline, and a 1942 timeline, and a fantastically gorgeous cover. With Book of the Month, you really get a fantastic deal on new release hardcovers. You can't really beat it. In fact, if this is your first time joining Book of the Month, you can join now in March for $9.99 by using the code CHEERS. So I hope that you do check out Book of the Month. It's a service I belonged to for many years, and I plan on continuing because I just love them. Speaking of Book of the Month, I'm going to carry on with my books that I picked in February. I got 3 of them. The first one that I picked for February is River, Sing Me Home by Eleanor Shearer. This book sounds so moving. We follow a mother in the Barbados who, in the aftermath of slavery, goes on a search to find her 5 stolen children. Holy moly. I feel like this one is going to rip my heart out just a little bit. Then I've heard about this one so much from a couple people on Instagram that I follow, River Enchanted by Rebecca Ross. I didn't know it was quite a chunky book, but this is a fantasy. Our main character, Jack, had been sent away 10 years ago to learn how to become a bard or something. He comes back to his homeland because all these girls are going missing. The future leader of the clan believes that Jack is the only one who's going to be able to find these girls. Not sure why, but I'm enchanted. I'm intrigued, I should say. And then I had to pick up Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I have no idea if this is going to be a book for me, but it won the Book of the Year award from Book of the Month, and I believe it also won on Goodreads. So many people absolutely love this book. I think it's going to have 90s vibes, which I'm always here for. It's going to have some kind of video game element to it. And honestly, I don't really know the actual plot of it, but I just need to pick it up and see if it's going to be for me. We'll have to wait and see on that one. I did get one book gifted me very recently, and it came in a bag, and I have not opened it up yet, but it's really heavy. So I have a feeling I know what it is based on what's on my wish list. Oh yeah. This is from I Am Paximus. I loved Harry Potter 4. I hope that you enjoy this one. It's my favorite one. Thanks again for the kind welcome on your live stream. Enjoy. Aw, that's really sweet. I love when you guys come on my lives with me. Oh yes. Oh man, it's the illustrated Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. That's funny that Amazon sent it with a big old sticker in the middle. I'll have to get that off. But Goblet of Fire is my favorite Harry Potter. I actually only own the first one so far in this illustrated edition. It has, well, of course I open up to a page without illustrations. It has beautiful, there's some. It has beautiful illustrations inside, as well as the full text of the story. I am just really thrilled when I next reread the series to do it in this edition. I'm so excited. Thank you so much, I Am Paximus. That was very, very kind of you. And I love having you on my lives. I've kind of sorted the rest by genre because I like it when people do that in their book hauls. So I have a handful of historical fiction here. At the beginning of the month, I was able to go and see Sadiqa Johnson in person. She came to my local library to give a little talk and kind of give us the backstory of how she came up with this story. She talked a tiny bit about Yellow Wife as well, but mostly just talking about the House of Eve and the background of why she wrote this story. In this one, we're going to follow two different Black women. One of them who is going to Howard University and falls in love there, but the man that she falls in love with is part of the elite African-American community, and she is not, and so his family doesn't really approve of her. She's thinking if she could just have a baby, maybe that will endear her to their hearts. But then in 1950s Philadelphia, we also follow the story of a 15-year-old Ruby, who's on track to be the first woman in her family to go to college. She's incredibly bright, but then a love affair kind of turns things in a totally different direction for her. And then the lives of these two women intersect surrounding this home for young unwed mothers. I just feel like this is going to be a fantastic book. I absolutely loved Yellow Wife. I think she's a wonderful author and she's a wonderful person. Now that I got to meet her in person, I just think she's fabulous. So I'm excited to read House of Eve. Like, I buy myself a little singles swag box. It's a little subscription box that I pay for myself. And I just as a way to treat myself, it comes, I think, every other month. And in the most recent box, there was a book, Paris Never Leaves You. This is a historical fiction by Ellen Feldman. Takes place during World War II in Paris. And also we're going to go to 1950s Manhattan in post-war. A story of resilience, love, and impossible choices, exploring how survival never comes without a cost. I was thrilled to get a book in that box. It's kind of fun. And then I did, of course, place some Pango orders. I scaled back from what I did in January and December. I think I only ordered 2 bundles this month, but in those bundles, I did grab 2 historical fiction. One of them is The Bermondsey Bookshop by Mary Gibson. This is a little bit of a different timeline in that mid-war period. We follow Kate. She's 17. She's kind of left on her own. I'm not sure what happened to her family. She gets a job as a cleaning girl in the Bermondsey Bookshop and Reading Room. So I feel like that's going to be a bookish historical fiction set in the 1920s. I'm here for it. And then I grabbed a Kristen Harmel that I have not heard anything about, When We Meet Again. This one is a historical fiction that's going to involve a painting, which I always love when art is a part of the story. But we follow Emily, and she's kind of on her own. Her dad left when she was young. Her mom passed away when she was 18. And just most recently, her grandmother, who had been caring for her, just passed away. So she's kind of left unmoored, doesn't know what she's going to do, until one day she receives a beautiful haunting painting of a young woman standing at the edge of a sugarcane field under a violet sky. That woman is recognizable as her grandmother, and the painting arrives with no identification other than a handwritten note saying he never stopped loving her. And so she is feeling very hungry to find her roots, and she goes on a mission to try to find out who sent this painting, who painted this painting, who never stopped loving her grandmother. It leads her to World War II prisoner of war camps in Florida, which is kind of a different thing that I've never really read about before. So I have enjoyed Kristen Harmel's books in the past, and I'm looking forward to another one. Then I think I went on a little sweet romance kick because I picked up 4 that are sweet romances, and I believe 3 of them may be Christian fiction. I don't know if Shadow Mountain is a Christian publisher or not. I'm not sure. They're just called proper romances, I believe. So I have 2 by Josie Kilpatrick. One of them is The Valets Secret. This takes place in York, England in 1819. And it says, a passionate kiss from a handsome valet becomes a Regency Cinderella story when he is revealed to be the heir of the earldom. Dun, 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 dun. I'm here for a Cinderella retelling. That sounds really sweet. Then we have Love and Lavender by Josie Kilpatrick as well. This is also a proper romance. In this one, we follow Hazel, who is a woman of independence, and she is a teacher at a private girls' school who has kind of given up hope for marriage because she has a clubbed foot and doesn't think marriage is ever in her future. But then there's an opportunity for a marriage of convenience where they can merge their fortunes and then go their separate ways. But then the idea of marriage becomes more appealing to the both of them, and I just think that that's going to be a lovely story. I'm always drawn to anything Jane Austen related, and so this one is Lies Jane Austen Told Me by Julie Wright, and it looks like we have kind of a contemporary woman here crossed over with the olden days picture here. This one is modern, clever, and funny. Ever since Emma read Pride and Prejudice, she's been in love with Mr. Darcy and has regarded Jane Austen as the expert on all things romantic. So when it turns out that what her boyfriend Blake wants is more of a hookup than a honeymoon, Emma is hurt, betrayed, and furious. Realizing that her love life is as complicated as anything Jane Austen could have dreamed up, she must figure out the truth, and soon, if she wants any hope of writing her own happily ever after ending. Sounds kind of cheesy and sweet, and I'm 100% here for it. And the final sweet romance is called Secrets and Suitors. This is by Joanna Barker. It's a Regency romance. I think this is going to be a friends to lovers kind of a romance. We follow Nora, who is super shy. It's her last season, and she is giving up hope because the only person that she really wants is her best friend, James, who has made it perfectly clear that they are just friends. But are they? I'll have to read it to find out. I have 3 that are kind of along the lines of a light mystery, I think. And talking about Jane Austen, I picked up The Murder of Mr. Wickham by Claudia Gray. This is a spoof, if you will, on some of the Jane Austen stories. Not a spoof, that's not the right word. It's a combo. So at Emma and Mr. Knightley's house, there's a dinner party. And during that dinner party, Mr. Wickham ends up murdered. But at this party are multiple characters from across Jane Austen's works. We have Juliet Tilney, who's the daughter of Catherine and Henry. We have Jonathan Darcy, the Darcy's oldest son. We have, obviously, Mr. Wickham and the Knightleys. And I think it's just going to be a fun mashup of an Agatha Christie-esque murder, but with Jane Austen characters or related to Jane Austen characters. I think that that's going to be really fun. And then I picked up 2 in this series, Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutanto, and also For Aunties and a Wedding. And I believe in this one, the girl goes on a blind date and he accidentally dies during the date, and she calls her aunts to come and help with taking care of the body. And then this is just going to follow that story. I just think that they sound really fun and delightful, and it's the kind of mystery that I'm really enjoying right now. So I'm thrilled to have those. One non-bookish thing that I did purchase that I just wanted to talk about because it's kind of cool. During the BookTube Besties retreat, someone mentioned this Clue puzzle, and I immediately went on Amazon and bought it, and I am so excited. So with this puzzle, you get a short story. So that's what this little booklet is. It's a little story, a little murder mystery. And then you put together the puzzle, which doesn't have a picture. So it's a total mystery puzzle. You put together the puzzle, which is going to have clues to help you solve the mystery from this story. Assemble the puzzle to see if you can solve the mystery of who killed Mr. Body in what room and with what weapon, just like Clue. And then you can hold this up to a mirror to read the answer and see if you're right. Totally fun, right? I thought that was a cool little puzzle. And then finally, I have some middle grade. 4 of them I purchased myself on Amazon because I've been watching some middle grade March TBRs and talking to people about middle grade March and couldn't resist. And I also had a little gift card because many of you have been clicking on those links that I put in my descriptions. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It enables me with my book buying obsession. But first of all, I do have an ARC of Hertz Gets Fused by Suzanne Purvis. This is a middle grade novel in verse from Owl's Nest Publishing. This one's going to come out in May. I probably will get to it during middle grade March, and I'll let you know about it. But we have tech-obsessed 12-year-old Hertz Zindler gets into Godzilla-sized trouble when he accidentally starts an electrical fire in his bedroom. Bad enough, all of his tech stuff is ruined, but worse, his mom's guide dog, Avis, gets grazed by a fire truck leaving the scene, and the poor dog is traumatized and unable to guide anymore. Hertz's mom heads to Texas to train with a new guide dog, and Hertz and Avis head to Show Low, Arizona, where an unconventional great uncle has agreed to babysit Hertz. I'm thrilled to read this and let you know about it. When I watched the ALA, American Library Association Awards, I learned that Free Water is the Newbery winner for this year. This is by Amina Lukman Dawson, and I am collecting all the Newberries. I actually have them all from 1922 until 2023. I have all of them, and of course I'm not going to miss getting the newest one. And this is going to be about a young boy who runs away from his plantation where he is enslaved with his little sister. As they're running away, they hide out in this swamp. They find a community of other people who are living in the swamp, and the community is called Freewater. So I'm just really thrilled to read this. It's definitely on my March TBR. I cannot wait to learn more about this story. 2 books I picked up that have neurodivergent characters in them. The first one is Wild Oak by C.C. Harrington. It is a stunning cover. I'm a sucker for a tree. In this one, we follow Maggie, who struggles with a stutter, and she really tries to speak as little as she possibly can. Her parents have different ideas of how to deal with it. Her dad wants to send her away for a treatment plan at a center. Her mom wants to send her off to the woods to live with their grandfather that she hardly knows for a few weeks in Wild Oak Forest. Clearly, that's where she's going to go. And in the course of things, she finds an ancient forest and a snow leopard. Yeah, I just think that this is going to be a stunning read. Oh, it's so beautiful. I also grabbed A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichol. This one is about a young girl who is autistic, and she is learning about the witch trials that happened in her town centuries ago, and kind of feeling connected to these women who were charged of being witches. She says, I can't stop thinking about them. If I were one of those women, I would want someone to remember me. The witches weren't magic, they were different, like me. I won't let the witches be forgotten because there's more to their story, just like there is more to mine. And the author herself is neurodivergent, so this is kind of an own voices story as well, which I really appreciate, and I'm very excited to read this one. And then finally, I have one more middle grade that I picked up, and it's Everything Sad is Untrue by Daniel Nayeri. I grabbed this one. This one has been on my radar because when I interviewed KB Hoyle a couple months ago about Orion and the Starborn, she said this was one of the books that she had read recently that she absolutely loved, and she recommends it to so many people. It did win a Michael L. Prince Award for Excellence in Young Adult Literature. Now that I read that, I'm wondering if this is YA or middle grade. It might not go on my middle grade March TBR, but I've heard that she just raved about it. It does take place in a middle school classroom, so it could be middle grade. We follow a young boy who is called Daniel, but his name is Khosrow. I'm not sorry, I don't know how to say it. Who is an Iranian refugee, and he tries to stand up in class and tell these stories. These stories stretch back years and decades and centuries. They're beautiful and terrifying. From the moment he, his mother, and sister fled Iran in the middle of the night, stretching all the way back to family tales set in the jasmine-scented city of Isfahan, the palaces of semi-ancient kings, and even the land of stories. So we bounce between school and how he's bullied, and then into his stories of heroes and heroines of his family's past who ate pastries that made them weep and touched carpets woven with precious gems. It's going to just go back and forth between this young boy trying to survive in a school where he is not really accepted or liked by others. He just feels very different and has had a very different background to these stories that he tells that are somewhat magical and folktale-esque. I'm really excited. Karen absolutely loved this, and I'm just really looking forward to it. I'm not sure if it's middle grade or YA. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more, but Everything Sad is Untrue. This is Own Voices as well. And it says a true story, but is it? I don't know. And that is going to be it for me today. I love chatting with you down in the comments about the books I mentioned here or anything else that you would like to talk about. I really hope that you check out Book of the Month. All the information about that will be down in the description box below. Thank you so much for spending some time watching this today. I appreciate you being here. As a part of this little corner of the internet, you are why I'm here. Thank you so much, and I look forward to talking with you in another video very soon. Bye.